You guys are going to love it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. I do want to get into it today. We do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Coinbase. This is a great place to get started in crypto. Maybe it's your first time that you've done a trade. Well, jump over to Coinbase.com. You can, of course, get up to $200 just by getting started over there using our link. So make sure and use that link down below. If you're brand new to crypto, this is a good place to kind of start your journey. And if you're an old person in crypto, you've been in there like me, then that's okay too, because it's a great place for all your kind of assets that you guys can get into. All right, let's get into it today. I want to introduce our guest, and that is Alex Zosos, coming in from Superstate. Great to have you.
Great to be here.
All right, so Alex, first of all, I want to get into kind of the scenario that's playing out right now from a regulatory landscape. We're going to talk about Superstate as well, learn a little about what you guys are doing, but I want to get your opinion. You know, when as general counsel, you get a chance to kind of see a lot of the regulatory alignment that the crypto market has been facing. When you look at the low-hanging fruit right now, once Trump takes office, we're most likely going to see some actions, maybe even some executive orders. What are your thoughts about what could happen first?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're connecting here mid-December. Obviously, since the election, you can obviously see there's market enthusiasm within the market, given the change of administrations. A lot of people like to say personnel is policy, and you can see from a lot of, new roles created and, individuals that are earmarked for certain roles that they're that given their background and their public statements on the crypto industry, that they're going to be more open to and engaging with industry. And so I think that's like a big sea change. And I think if you're going to go generally, like zoom out, like what does that mean from a broad standpoint and how that's different from where we're at today? I think it's more welcoming of innovation generally. And where we're at today is definitely in a much more adversarial
Sure.
tone and approach. And so, I previously was at the SEC. I think the staff of the SEC is fantastic. I think they are, very bright and smart. But tone does come from the top as well. And so, given Gary Gensler, who currently still is chair and still has a few weeks left to cause
Yeah.
trouble, but given his announcement that he's moving on, I think it really unlocks the staff to have some really good dialogue and questions from the SEC, and then with like David Sachs and others in the government writ large to kind of look at who's the name floated to be the crypto czar,
Yeah.
to really kind of look at this industry holistically, and ensure that investors are protected, the public is served, but also innovation is able to flourish.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think with Sachs, you look at his track record in Silicon Valley, he's been mostly a SaaS VC. The likelihood he's also been an early stage with I think it was Multi-Coin Capital with Solana. So there's been a lot of awareness, from his standpoint. Obviously, he's going to be the crypto and AI czar, so his technology background will lean into that. As far as some of the lawsuit cases that are out there, you got Coinbase, Immutable, Uniswap, all with active litigation going. You being in a counsel over a Superstate, I mean, do you think those cases could just go away? What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, there's been outward statements from people close to the president and this admin, and and even the president himself has had some really strong statements, or the president-elect has said some strong statements. But the litigation that there's a few stages within litigation. One is the active litigation cases that have already gone before judges in various stages. Those I think are going to be a little bit harder to wind down.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think what's going to happen in those cases is there's going to probably be some form of negotiated discussion or settlement and then the cases will move on. I think that's going to take
Okay.
some time, clearly.
Yeah.
With cases that have been, there Gary was fond of regulation by press release
Hmm.
and had issued a number of Wells notices, which is
Hmm.
essentially putting someone on notice that there might be charges filed.
Right.
Uh, with those cases, or those uh, pending cases, I think those much more easily will not move forward unless there's instances of fraud happening with the charges or the potential charges. So I think between those, I think cases that have not yet been brought, I think will be paused. Cases that are currently, in the court system, I think there'll be some forms of negotiated settlement. I don't think they just go away, and I do think
Yeah.
that will take some time.
Well, I like the idea is that, especially with the ones that had received Wells notices, to your point, that one could be a scenario where, with the alignment of the SEC, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the CFTC, but with the alignment of the SEC now going post Gensler, it'll be intriguing. What do you think about the new selection in terms of the SEC head? Do you think this is with Paul? What do you think is the potential there?
Yeah, I think generally, from like a philosophical standpoint, Paul Atkins comes from a more libertarian approach, which really, in my opinion, kind of aligns more so with the SEC's mandate.
Right.
There's not uh, a a mandate to decide merit. They're not merit regulators. They're disclosure regulators. They're ensuring that there's proper rules of the road. There's proper information that's available, and then it's for the market really to decide. And I think
Hmm.
that's very consistent with how Paul has approached the SEC and his service there. He previously was a commissioner at the SEC.
Right.
I think what's unique and what's very interesting is going to be the fact that uh, two of Paul's counsel. So when you're a commissioner, you have a handful of attorneys that work underneath you, and two of those, when Paul was a commissioner, were Commissioner Peirce and Commissioner Ueda. And so it's going to be,
Oh.
and putting them together, Paul Atkins, Commissioner Ueda, and Commissioner Peirce. And the commissioners are five in total. So the three of them that are of the party of the president here will all have previously worked together and will be very aligned. And so I think that is unique and will, I think, enable the ability to move relatively quickly, given their familiarity with each other and philosophical alignment.
Yeah.
That being said, it will take some time to move forward with items of substance. I think there's going to be, meetings and engagement day one, but following the change of administration, Atkins himself still needs to be confirmed by the Senate,
Right.
and that typically takes a number of months. So
Yeah,
I
for
wouldn't
sure.
expect anything to happen immediately, but I also, again, given what I described about how these commissioners and now, pending chair have previously worked together, I think there will be some coordination, which will help the ball move forward faster, even though there is this period of acting chair.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting because Crenshaw could also end up not being a commissioner, so that would be a new, kind of a new slant on what that SEC chair alignment looks like going forward. So I do agree with you. I want to talk quickly about, because this has been, discussed quite a bit. Actually did a tweet on this. The CFTC, if they were to be the ones in charge of crypto, and this is kind of, they're just compared poly market to kind of a drug out there. But point being is that if the CFTC does get regulatory alignment on crypto, do you think that's going to be good for crypto in general, or what is your opinion on that, CFTC versus SEC?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different things happening at the same time, and I think that makes it challenging to know good, bad, or different, or indifferent, right? I think essentially right now we know Bitcoin and Ethereum explicitly are not securities, and that's happened from the CFTC saying that they're commodities, and then the approval of the ETFs which
Right.
have kind of said, hey, these are not securities. So they're not securities. The CFTC has never had spot authority. It's the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, right? So
Exactly.
it's never been a spot trading environment. It's like, it's not, the CFTC doesn't regulate gold spot trading or any other
Hmm.
oil spot trading. So it would be unique for them, and a heavy lift for them to establish themselves as a spot regulator. Um, I think I'm actually probably unique in my perspective, where I think with this change of administration, uh, there might actually be a movement towards the SEC uh, claiming more land, I guess, in
Interesting.
the
Okay.
regulatory landscape, where I don't think obviously they can't assert jurisdiction over Bitcoin or ETH, but I think they could widen the ability of, existing retail facing or investor facing
Yeah.
interfaces like broker dealers to be able
Yeah.
to handle and transact in these commodities. There's nothing precluding them from allowing that. It's just they don't necessarily have the authority to regulate them. And
Hmm.
so,
Yeah.
and the CFTC doesn't, at this point, absent new regulation, have spot authority. So I think there could be some new ways in which individuals are able to transact in crypto, but um, be that directly through how they interact with other financial instruments, or as you're alluding to, the CFTC getting additional authority through passage of some legislation.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting because 2025, I think, will really start to set the tone for how, digital assets come to market. Hopefully we'll have some regulatory alignment. Maybe FIT gets through the FIT 21 bill. If you guys don't know what that is, go back and check out all of our videos. We go into a lot of detail on that. I want to talk about real world assets real quick. I was looking at the global market overview. It's continued to climb dramatically as we continue to see it now eclipsing 14 bill. So the likelihood, and now 67,000 asset holders, this is also up quite a bit. If you look at real world assets, you look at what we're seeing in the market, the likelihood of BlackRock really starting to put pressure down on this, and many other I think companies in general that have been trading in this category for a while. How big can this get, do you feel, just in 2025? Do you feel like this is going to be really coming front of market? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know the headwinds that have kind of prevented uh, the further adoption and growth of this, I think, are regulatory in nature, and as we've kind of discussed at the beginning of this, a lot of those are seeding, and now there seems to be a lot of tailwinds that exist for greater adoption. I
Hmm.
do think we have been kind of mired in definitional gray zone for a long period of time. And I think the true unlock for these real world assets is unlocking the programmability and the crypto superpowers that can exist with these securities and with these assets. I think, and to allow and enable that, you really have to tackle some of the more difficult questions that aren't really definitional in nature, but really go back to, first principles of, like, what is a broker dealer, what is an
Yeah.
exchange, what are the risks you're looking to control for by regulating those entities and those intermediaries, and again, like, this technology itself can facilitate disintermediation. And so then how do you ensure that investors are protected, but still don't prevent them from accessing or engaging with this new form factor of a security. So I think, long-winded way of saying, like, where does this go in 2025? I think there's a lot more clarity and adoption, but I think the true unlock happens when um, the true disintermediation can occur, and there's more clarity there.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
right now, we're clarifying what is and is not a security, and who has jurisdiction to regulate those. But crypto itself allows for completely new forms of interacting with financial instruments, like automated market makers
Hmm.
and various lending type protocols that are steps forward from what exists today. And so that's like truly exciting, but will take time because the system and the regulations have been designed for an analog intermediated world.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and this is exciting to me because I think we will get a chance to really see some new financial instruments come to light that we haven't seen, in many decades before. So this is maybe a new era going forward. I'm looking at your website right now, superstate.co. Yield for crypto native investors. Superstate builds investment products benefiting the speed, programmability. Talk to me about what you guys are up to. Where do you see, and also just USTB and USCC, if you can, kind of give us a little bit of alignment there of what you guys are up to.
Yeah, I mean, so we're a tokenized Superstate's a tokenized asset management firm. We're leveraging blockchain technology for our financial products. And again, like going back to what I had said earlier, what we're looking to do is unlock like crypto superpowers, which is that programmability and that speed of the blockchain tech. And so right now we have two financial products or two funds. One is USTB. That's really kind of like a base type asset that holds treasuries. And then the other is the USCC product, which is a little bit more involved, but essentially goes short the underlying crypto, Bitcoin and ETH, and goes long the futures of those crypto assets. And given the historically that has provided some alpha
Right.
for investors, it's the crypto carry trade.
Yeah.
And so like what we're looking to do and what's happening right now, and we have around 250 mil in AUM, but like what we're looking to do is like look at the space of asset management from first principles and leveraging this new tech. And so like what does that mean? It means like right now, like net asset value is kind of determined on the day-to-day basis.
Hmm.
Uh, and we've said, well, why is that? Let's take that down to the second, right? And then it's like and then like when you liquidate, typically it takes a number of days for you to get your cash.
Yeah, just the
And
settlement.
so
Sure.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
like so we've integrated smart contract protocol to enable for instantaneous settlement for our USTB fund. And so like there's going to be more and more integrations within the crypto ecosystem where crypto has given step function forward. We're going to we're introducing and integrating that within our financial products. I think it's very fun to just kind of look at and say like, why is something like this? And I
Hmm.
mean, there's this good anecdote on like French real estate. It takes 6 days for that for a sale to close, and the reason what was previously like parchment paper took 6 days to dry, and that was the reason for the 6 days. There was no
Interesting.
actual reason for that. And
Reasons.
so I think
Yeah.
what we're doing is looking at how do funds function today, and then leveraging the ability of crypto to make that faster, more transparent, peer to peer, peer to protocol, uh, you know, really enhancing and improving what is a little bit of a staid industry, while
Yep.
you know also leveraging the benefits of investor protection that have been tried and true over the decades.
For sure. I want to go into a rapid fire question
Sure.
with you, and just kind of get, don't go into, extreme detail, but just want your opinion on if it might happen and how you think these are going to kind of play out. First up is, what do you think is going to happen with tokenized assets growth once that we start to see interest rates actually coming down, maybe into that 3% range? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think in our view isn't that like tokenized assets are a yield play; they're a utility play. Like
Okay.
the form factor of tokenized securities is better than the alternative in the
Exactly.
analog world. And so I don't think that really impedes. I think the high interest rate environment impedes adoption. I think the high interest rate environment encouraged people to try out
Yeah.
the tokenized securities, and then once they're there and they realize they can actually own their securities and not in some form of nominee structure. So I think it's I don't think it will have an effect on adoption.
Okay. All right. What about yield generating ETFs? Do you think we see that happen in 2025?
Yeah, I do. I think with regards to like staking and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I think that was a byproduct of an adversarial approach that the SEC
Sure.
took
Yeah.
with their twist by if they had their own way, they would have not approved these. But obviously, Grayscale and the court
Yeah.
case kind of forced their hand on that.
Yeah, for sure. Last question is NFT legislation. That's one of the laggards, I think, from a regulatory environment. Do you think that NFTs get stuck in limbo going forward, or do you think we get some clarity?
I think as we move forward, I think it's going to go up the scale of like complexity and and also with analogy, right? And so like NFTs really, they don't have a strong analog other than art, and the art market is very much opaque and
Yeah.
absent of oversight and regulation. So I think you start with your stable coins, you go to tokenized securities or funds like we offer, and then I think at that point you have probably pretty comprehensive understanding of what the rules of the road are, and then you just have art. I think if you're talking about some of these, you know, NFTs that have ownership percentages and things like that
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
true to the original artist and things like that. I think it's going to be a novel type and facts and circumstance approach of like how you deal with those, but maybe I think it will be some time until they have the clarity that for some of these novel use cases with them.
Yeah, for sure. Alex, it's been great having you on. We love to get kind of these insights out there, so we appreciate it. We'll definitely keep an eye on what Superstate is up to in the future. So thanks for coming in today.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
You bet. All right, you guys, if you're not in the Diamond Circle, make sure and jump into that. That's our own private group. Very easy. You get an email, additional podcasts, additional research we do over there. Follow me out there on X, which is just @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.